So today I have some handstand prep and or conditioning exercises for you. These 5 exercises are for any level of handstander, and that includes if you have never done a handstand but you would like to and you don't know where to start. These are great exercises to start with. Okay, so if you've never even gotten upside down, this is a great place to start. If you're working on handstands, these are going to be great conditioning exercises for you. Or if you already have a handstand, but you're looking for some additional conditioning drills for you to do, these are great ones to do. So for these, I'm using a set of stallbars or Swedish wall bars. You can do all of these with just a regular pull-up bar as well, or a wall. Okay, so there's lots of modification options that you can do with this. But if you would like more information on the Swedish wall bars or stall bars that I'm using, I'll put some more information at the end of this video, as well as deets in the information below. I'm also using a hand balancing board. You don't need one if you're already on a hard surface, but I'm on carpet, so it is a nice option. Both the stall bars and the handstand board are from Go Beyond Balance, okay? And like I said, I'll leave some more info on those. So 5 exercises to start. Okay, if you are doing handstand stuff, of course, make sure you warm up your wrists. Okay, so warm up is a whole other thing. If you have sensitive wrists, you're going to want to make sure that you spend a lot of time rolling out those joints, all the things. You might have to work on some flexibility with these. And I would say if you are new to handstands, keeping this circuit short so that you don't do too much on your wrists is a good way to kind of ease them into it. If you don't do a lot of handstands and you go out and try and do handstands for an hour, your wrists are going to be dying. Okay, so first one we're going to start is just hangs. For a lot of people, for handstands, one of the things that is holding them back is their shoulder flexibility. Okay, so just working on hangs oftentimes helps us start to get to a better angle. Okay, of course, adding in stretches for the shoulders, the wrists, all those things. Like I said, we're not getting into the stretches in this particular video. We're just focusing on some of the conditioning exercises. So for this one, you're going to hang, ideally with the hands about shoulder width apart. You can have your thumbs wrapped, not wrapped. Hang and let yourself sink down into your shoulders. So instead of being pulled up here, try to gently let yourself sink and just hang. How long you hang is going to be up to you, depending on your tolerance, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever. And then add in some shrugs. These are a great shoulder warm up. Okay, maybe 5, maybe 10. Okay, so there's number 1, hangs and shrugs, right side up. Number 2 is going to be shrugs upside down. So in a handstand, we want to be pushing up and out of our shoulders. Most things in our daily life, we're always talking about pulling our shoulders down and away from our ears. Handstands, when we're upside down, everything else is upside down and the opposite. We want to actually to have our shoulders up by our ears. So for this one, you're going to want to place your hands ideally shoulder width apart, fingers spread out. You want to feel the bulk of your weight ideally here. Okay, for a lot of people when they first start doing handstands, they feel the weight back here, and it's because they're not getting their weight far enough forward. So think you might not be ready to have all your weight here because it's scary in the beginning, but think your goal is to work until your weight is coming forward enough that you feel it more here and not all of it here. Okay, so for this one, we're going to use the board. Your hand placement, you want to have it about a leg's width away from the wall or the chair or the table or the stall bars that you're putting your feet on. Okay, so I'm going to place my hands about shoulder width apart. I want my elbows to be gently locked out. I want to be pushing down with that knuckle right there. And I want my eyes to be looking right about here. Don't be looking back that way. Look right about here, right below your hands. Okay, so I'm going to push out of my shoulders, elbows nice and straight. And then I'm going to walk my feet up and try to get my hips over my hands as much as possible. If that's scary, it might be a work in progress. And then once you're here, you're going to do shrugs. Your elbows ideally are not going to bend. You're going to sink into your shoulders, push out of your shoulders, sink into your shoulders, push out of your shoulders. And it's nice and controlled. Okay, it's not a huge motion, but it's controlled. And there shouldn't be a bend in the elbows. The elbows should be gently locked out the whole time. Okay, so shrugs, it's going to help strengthen your shoulders and also start to build the awareness of where should your shoulders be. Okay, so number 1, hanging shrugs. Number 2, inverted shrugs. Number 3, this is where we're going to start building our tolerance or strength to be able to hold in that pushed out position longer. Okay, so this one, you're going to hold in that shoulder shrug for as long as you can. And when I say as long as you can, focus on quality over quantity. Generally with this one, I'll take my phone, I'll set it down, put it in stopwatch mode, and my goal will be to go 30 seconds, 60 seconds to hold. When I first started doing handstand holds, If I could even hold 30 seconds without my elbows and my shoulders collapsing, that was a lot. Okay, so if you're new to this, start with a small number. Maybe they're 10-second holds. Okay, focus on quality over quantity. If you're holding for 5-10 seconds and then your shoulders start sinking, but you're determined to make it to 30, you're not doing yourself any favors. Okay, so make sure that your technique is correct. If you start to sink into your shoulders and you can't push back out, come out of it. Okay, so you're going to set this one up exactly like we just did for the shrugs. Hands about shoulder width apart, fingers are spread out, elbows are gently locked. Walk those feet out. Try to get your hips as stacked over your hands as possible. Push out of those shoulders and just hold and breathe. Turns out breathing is important. I highly recommend it. Okay, and like I said, you can have a stopwatch there, or you can count in your head, or you can just hold until you feel like you can't hold any longer. Okay, so that would be exercise number 3. Okay, our fourth one is going to be a hollow body hold. Okay, so far we've been doing everything in these bent hinged areas so that we can focus on just the shoulders and not have to worry about everything else. Eventually, when you start taking those handstands to a straight line, we have to really find this engagement to keep it here so it doesn't banana back or anything like that. So for this one, we're going to use the rungs of the stall bars. If you're not using stall bars, you can always use yoga blocks stacked up against a wall. You can use a low table, a stair, okay, whichever. The lower your hands are, the harder and more challenging this one is going to be, okay? And for this one, I generally will have my legs a little bit farther apart because it gives me a little bit better traction. Otherwise, I feel like my feet are going to slide away. Plus, having your legs a little bit farther apart will make it easier to hold core-wise, okay? And I'm on carpet. I don't know if it's worse on carpet, hard floor, but I do feel with these sometimes how long I can hold is limited by how long until my feet start to slide away, okay? But with this one, you want to figure out what height you want to have your hands at. I want to try to get to as much of a straight line or a slightly hollow line, which means instead of being a perfect 180, maybe it's a slightly less than 180, but not butt out here. And then as close to 180, slightly less than in the shoulders as you can. But that's very challenging. These are not an easy exercise. Okay, so like I said, the higher up your hands are, the easier it's going to be, generally speaking. The wider your legs are, within reason, careful all you bendy babes out there, the wider your legs are, sometimes that does also make it easier because it shortens your levers. Okay, so you're going to place hands on the bar, roughly shoulder width apart, maybe a little bit wider. Okay, find your position with your legs and then sink your butt down. Try to sink your head down into your shoulders as much as possible. Elbows are nice and straight. Belly button is pulling towards your spine. And you're just going to hold and breathe, much like we did in that last exercise. You can set a stopwatch. You can count in your head, whichever, when you're ready to come out. Try to gently come out before you fall on your face. I highly recommend coming out before you fall on your face. Okay, so that would be exercise number 4. This last one. This one is going to work in this side of all the things in our handstand. Okay, so we were working this side, we work the shoulders, work all the things. This one can either A, help you with kicking up into your handstand, and or eventually when you start working on a press-up handstand. You don't have to already have a solid handstand before you start building the prep for a press-up handstand. This particular exercise is going to help you strengthen this area of your press-up handstand. Eventually, when you're ready to start working press-up handstands, you don't want to be leaning up against a wall, okay, because there is a huge shoulder element that goes into press-up handstands. But like I said, this is a good place to start, like step 1. You're not even sure which muscles go where, okay? So for this one, it does require some shoulder flexibility getting into it, and frankly, it's just a little awkward getting into it, as you'll see in a moment here, okay? So for this, you're going to put, this one does require stall bars or a low bar, okay? So if you don't have stall bars or a low bar, do not use a handrail. Those are not made to hang your weight, okay? So make sure it is something very sturdy, like a set of stall bars or a set of parallettes, that kind of thing that also works for this. So you're going to drop your head down. You're going to awkwardly put your hands up here until they can grab the bar. How far apart they go is going to be up to you. Make sure your necklace doesn't whack you in the face. And then from here, I'm going to either in a straddle all the way up, nice and controlled, or you can go pike, or you can go tuck, or a combination. Okay, so those start to train the erector spinae muscles, the glute, the hamstring engagement that goes into either a kick up or a press up into your handstand. Okay, so these 5 exercises, great prep, great conditioning, just a real quick recap. We had our hanging to help with your shoulder mobility and your line. Okay, we had your L with your shrugs. We had your L holds. Okay, start with a small number, focus on quality over quantity. We had your hollow bodies. Okay, kind of like a modification between a plank and a hollow body handstand on like kind of a weird challenging angle. And then this last one was our press up exercise, which also works that back area in preparation for your handstands. So 5 exercises for you. Depending on your level and your equipment, you might not be able to do all of them, but there's at least a few in there that you can work in. Work with what you have, work towards finding the equipment or the strength to move to the next level. Start with small numbers, complete the circuit. Okay, small holds, small number of reps. If it feels good at the end of that circuit and you have the time or the energy to do another circuit, go for it. Then over time, as you're able to, you can start adding longer holds, greater number of reps on each of the exercises. So have some funsies with these. If you want more information on the stallbars, the Swedish wall bars, like I said, these are from Go Beyond Balance. These are a unique and awesome setup because they don't install on the wall, which is awesome because you can put them anywhere. I can even move them anywhere. I can move them to a different room, outside, anything like that. They do come with sandbags on the base to work as a counter balance. I have yet to use the counterbalance. I haven't needed it, and I've done some weird things on them that move them, but they are very stable. So if you have questions about the stall bars, definitely feel free to reach out to me. My contact info is below. If you're interested in learning more about them from Go Beyond Balance, the link for that is also below. So happy training. Have some fun with these handstand exercises. If you have questions, comments, concerns on them, let me know. I'd like to know how many reps, how many circuits did you get in? So let me know in the comments below.